This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Two here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM, Channel 158. I'm Stormy Buonantony alongside Jonathan Von Tobel, live in downtown Las Vegas Circa Resort and Casino. As we're kicking off hour two, about to kick off on the pitch as well as the World Cup rolls on. Switzerland and Bosnia. Switzerland out to around a minus 185 favorite at its peak after what was a draw in their first round match. That whole Group B, was full of draws to get things going.
Yeah, and a draw that probably should not have been the case. If you look at some of the expected goals metrics in that matchup for them, an expected goals around like 3.2. So I think you're probably going to get a situation here where we get a little bit more reversion to the mean here for Switzerland. And I think it makes some sense why we've seen that price get bet up the way that it is. So looking forward to them. Should be a good bounce back as we are just underway, 30 seconds in.
As someone who has Switzerland as already a part of that group winners parlay that I put together pre-tournament, rooting for the Swiss. They're the better team as the odds indicate. So hopefully they do get it done here in what is a very important match, as I mentioned, for the group in terms of being able to advance or hypothetically win it. Canada and Qatar coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. And then, of course, the match that you are very excited about and that I am invested in with Mexico and South Korea.
Which bet?
I have Mexico and both teams to score.
Okay. All right, cool.
Why? What's your...
I was talking with Luke, one of the wonderful producer for Follow Money, who, by the way, again, a shout out to Luke, who did get some details on this. He's writing articles up the website. The USA matches, the England matches, and whatever tickles his fancy, it would seem. But good call yesterday, and the wagers that he had in the England game knocked him out in the first half. But I was telling him that got to get a little action outside of some rooting action. So I did bet Mexico on the three-way, just to have something.
Yes, I did that. Plus 105. The both teams' score was around minus 110, which Chris Vaselli mentioned that was his angle on that game as well. Just the thought process that South Korea is going to be a better opponent, obviously, than South Africa was. When you look, though, at what Mexico was able to do in that first matchup, even though it was only a 2-0 final, they were pretty dominant in terms of the shot share, right? 16-3, had possession more than 62% of the match. And still, several analysts that I was listening to after the game were talking about how Mexico has so much more to offer. They weren't even at their best in that game. So I give them the edge, especially playing at home, but knowing that South Korea is a very good team as well. They're not a pushover. They fought back after being down 1-0 midway through the second half in that Czech Republic match for their opener to win 2-1. They're a very good team as well. So hopefully both teams get on the board, but Mexico does it a little bit better.
Well, and you do wonder, too, from a pricing standpoint, because I don't think that betting Mexico at that price is probably the best if you're actually looking at it from a plus EV standpoint and the true probability of them winning in regulation. But my question is, you wonder how watered down a price like that is, considering how popular those games and those sides are, right? Team USA, Mexico. I don't know if the Canada love reaches all the way out here, but from a betting standpoint, maybe watering down some of those prices, but we'll see. I mean, Canada's just in a monster bounce back spot, so I think that's why we're seeing that getting played the way that it is.
We will keep tabs on the Switzerland-Bosnia game as we go. We'll round out the day with our best bets, as we always do at the end of the hour. Remember, too, if you did miss any of the first hour of the program, I reference our conversation with Chris Vaselli of Covers.com. We also had Dwayne Colucci, who runs the Caesars Sportsbook at the resort at Summerlin here, talking about how some of these games are getting bet. You can always listen to the show on your own time, wherever you get your podcast. Download Money Moves. Yesterday, we were talking some WNBA because we had such a full slate, 6 games, and a handful of them delivered, especially our girl A'ja Wilson, again with the Aces getting it done.
Yeah, the Aces get their spot, the Western spot, I should say, in the Commissioner's Cup. But how about that? 33 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks, and just 2 turnovers on 20 shots for A'ja Wilson yesterday. Obviously in the driver's seat for MVP once again, the way that she has been playing. We'll have an update on that, on a potential contender as well. But Ace is playing extremely well. Wilson's playing extremely well. And it sets up a meeting with the Liberty, who yesterday we had talked about them. They go into that game against the Sky on a 7-game winning streak. And I was watching most of that last night, early afternoon. And boy, oh boy, Chicago, they were shooting the lights out. They ended up going 12 of 23 from 3-point range. You need Ionescu to get a game-winning bucket late in that contest to get it done. They failed to cover, but they get a 96-95 win. We talked yesterday about the Liberty potentially being at the top of the market, considering the winning streak, and they had covered 6 out of 7 as well as won those 7 straight games. I think this is one of, hey, you just ran into an opponent at home that was just shooting the lights out for whatever reason, and that was a little tough for you to overcome. But big win for the Liberty, and it sets up at the end of the month a meeting with Las Vegas for the Commissioner's Cup.
Which is fun, too, because when you think about those two teams in particular, Liberty and the Aces, combined to win the last 4 WNBA titles. They've had plenty of big matchups head-to-head, so I think that's a little bit of a fun angle. Something else we talked about yesterday, too. We said if you don't know the name Olivia Miles, get to know it. She goes off yesterday for the Lynx as they beat the Sparks, win and cover 99-83. Sparks didn't have Kelsey Plum or Cameron Brink, worth noting there, but for Miles, best performance of her young career last night, sets a WNBA rookie record, 24 points in the first half, 31 on the day, 4 boards, 4 assists as well. And no doubt about it, she is the leader in the clubhouse for Rookie of the Year. But share what you have about where she's trading right now, because I do think it's interesting compared to where sportsbooks are at.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, it was 92% over there on Polymarket. It was minus 1150 or thereabouts if you're converting that price to odds that you're used to. So it's a pretty big number considering where she's at right now to win Rookie of the Year. I couldn't find, when I was looking this morning, none of the Rookie of the Year odds were up. Do you have?
Well, yesterday, prior to that game, she was already minus 3,000.
Sure.
So you would think that number would just be growing. But to your point, I was looking at sportsbooks today and I couldn't find it.
Yeah. So you wonder if that's just off the board because, and by the way, she's down to 10-1 to win MVP. Yeah. And that was over at MGM. I mean, you're talking about a player averaging 19 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists per game, shooting 56% from the floor, nearly 40% from 3. And really, it's the narrative of the award as well that matters. To be in this stage in your career and help the Lynx, who are currently control the number 1 seed right now, despite the fact that Nafisa Collier hasn't even touched the floor for you yet, is a really big deal. So Miles, absolutely fantastic, continue to dominate, and she's going to run away with this Rookie of the Year. And I don't know she'll be able to catch Asia Wilson to win MVP, but it is definitely something worth looking at because if you're talking about just pure value to your team, there is no question how valuable she's been.
The Lynx, your favorite to win it all right now in the W at plus 280. The Aces 3-1, second shot on the board, trying to go back to back and win what would be a 4th in 5 years if they can get it done. The Liberty plus 320, and then you get to the Dream at 9-1, the Fever at 11-1. Those two teams facing off today at Gamebridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. The Fever, coincidentally, as we talk about Commissioner's Cup, you're defending Commissioner's Cup champions, but they're starting to stack some wins here. Indiana winning each of its last 4 games, trying to keep what is a 6-game home win streak alive today against the Dream, and they did get it done their first meeting against the Dream back earlier this month, 83-71. Anything stand out to you tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we've seen a little bit of a flip of favorites here. The initial opener that I saw last night had the Fever as about a 1.5-point favorite, and now we flipped in the other direction, looking at the Dream right now laying about that 1.5. Some spots like Circa are picked, totals 173.5. So there seems to be some support for Atlanta out there, depending on where you saw this opener come up first. But Caitlin Clark's kind of put some better performances together, kind of coincides with this winning streak that they're on. You mentioned the 4 consecutive victories that they've gotten, 5 out of the last 6 in Caitlin Clark starts, but really it's the last 3, 32, 25, and 21 for Caitlin Clark. Shooting's come around a little bit more, especially just overall efficiency from the floor. Still has not shot the ball particularly well. She went 5 of 10 on the road against Connecticut the other day, but that was a sandwich in between 1 and 6 and 1 of 8 from 3-point range, including a pretty strong performance against Toronto. And one could argue even then, you know, the Toronto game the other day, when you get Sykes going down in a 2-point game and you ultimately can pull away when a 20-point per game scorer hits the floor, maybe a little bit of luck there for the Fever. So at the very least right now, market wasn't really buying them being at home and being favored, and we've seen this flip in the other direction. It's also worth noting Clark's on the injury report, but she's listed as probable.
I didn't play anything in this game, but I am curious if, yes, we talk about Caitlin Clark starting to find her game a little bit more. Sophie Cunningham also surging right now off the bench, had 24 on 6 of 7 from 3, their most recent win against the Tempo, and she hit 3 triples in the last 2 minutes of their game against the Sun to help them win by double digits. So if she'll be able to keep this up, that could be maybe that difference maker that Indiana needs down the stretch. Dream also coming off a comfortable win against Toronto, 102-77 on Sunday. Should be a fun one tonight in the W. You want to go to Major League Baseball here briefly?
Sure.
So 9 games in all today, a handful of them already in action, but was there anything on the games remaining, the 6 to come, that stood out to you?
Yeah, we can go to a couple of spots. Let's go to Angels and Athletics, 6:40 p.m. We talked about this yesterday. One of the 2 baseball plays that I had yesterday, got one right, got one wrong. But the Athletics, as we talked about yesterday with Savali, maybe getting knocked around in the early going. But really interesting pitching matchup here. Gage Jump makes the jump up from AAA and has started his last 4 here in a Sacramento Athletics uniform, and he has been pretty good, man. man. 23 and a third over 4 starts so far for the Athletics. 3.09 ERA, Stormy, but a 250 fielding independent. And what's interesting is, I went out and actually saw a gauge jump start for the Aviators out here, and his AAA numbers weren't particularly great. He can strike down some really good batters, but the command was a little bit of an issue, and maybe just playing in that ballpark, homers were a little bit of an issue as well. But he has really done a good job since he has played with the majors, or in the majors. Question becomes, though, 2 of your 4, of course, have been on the road. And in those 2, you gave up 1 earned run. And the 2 starts that you played in Sacramento, if your gauge jump, you gave up 7 earned runs. So what is this going to look like here for you as you're playing in Sacramento once again? And also just we're pointing out on the other side, Soriano's getting the start for the Angels. Always just worth looking at it, considering Soriano and the way that he has been pitching up to this point. Still pretty consistent. I don't think we're going to hit that 100-1 on the Cy Young, but he's definitely evened out. Bounced back nicely after getting beat up by the Dodgers on the road to go out there against Tampa. 5 innings, no earned runs. Struck out 5. It's kind of where you're going to be at with Soriano here, floating around 5 innings pitched, but I think this is going to be all about jump and how he feels playing out there in Sacramento again, a little bit warmer environment in a ballpark that has taken down better pitchers than he. Lean a little bit toward the Angels here in this spot against the Athletics.
Run down some of the live scores for you right now. Toronto, who is a plus 110 dog in Boston, up 3-0 right now in the 7th, where things currently sit. They're laying 2.5 at minus 174, trending that direction. Meanwhile, Cleveland and Milwaukee tied at 1 right now in the 4th, and the Twins, who were a minus 126 favorite in Texas, taking on the Rangers, up 4-0 right now early. They have gotten after Texas right off the jump here. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we will talk more baseball, albeit headed out to Omaha, discussing the College World Series as the final is officially set. North Carolina, a favorite against Oklahoma. Matt Grissom does a great job as a college baseball analyst. Going to break it all down with him. Plus some more thoughts on Major League Baseball as well as we go. Stick around. More Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, after this.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on Money Moves, Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. What is that face for?
I'm just really excited. Like the sports have been absolutely tremendous. We have the U.S. Open going on. Really excited for the matchup tonight. Last night, I couldn't sleep. Went out, got a late gym session in, and was just enthralled with the performance from Colombia taking on Uzbekistan last night. I think one of the best matches of the evening, and I think it should be noted that Colombia's dominance yesterday was a performance that will live in the annals of my mind for perhaps eternity. Even once I turn into cosmic dust, my love for that game will be so strong and last so much into the ether of the universe that it'll be there forever.
What made you go down that path? What made you think about that?
None reason whatsoever.
Oh, very interesting. You know what? Something else I was enthralled with last night. The College World Series, especially considering what a favorite Georgia was yesterday. Oklahoma gets it done. The Georgia Bats stay quiet once again. And now the stage is set for the College World Series final. Matt Grissom joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Great job as a college baseball analyst, was out there in Omaha. Back home now, which, by the way, we've got a couple days before we actually get set for the final. What are you going to do with yourself?
I don't know. This is so out of left field. Even as closely as I followed this team and watched them in Arlington to open up the weekend, I never fully bought into Oklahoma. The fact that they're here, they knocked off Georgia. It's nothing short of surprising. Skip Johnson's done a fantastic job. And to do it behind 3 freshman pitchers through the College World Series, absolutely insane.
Can you expand on that really quickly? Why didn't you really buy into Oklahoma during this run?
They struggled defining a pitching rotation. They started out with a guy named Cameron Johnson that was the Friday night guy, and then it was LJ Mercurius, and then Cord Rager, the freshman, was the Sunday starter. By the middle of the season, that had all been tossed up. LJ was coming out of the bullpen. His brother Xander was now a starter. Cord Rager, the true freshman, was the Friday night guy. They had a lot of ups and downs, kind of barely made it into the tournament as a whole. And then here they are again, trying out the guy that made the third day start. That was only his second start all season long as a freshman. So just absolutely insane that they've been able to do this on this run. You look at their stats from over the full season to the last 10 games running through that Atlanta regional. They're playing like one of the hottest teams in the country. And if you didn't know that they were struggling in the middle of the season, you'd look and think, wow, this Oklahoma team is unbeatable right now. So why are they plus 155?
Well, that's what I was going to say is we even saw Georgia's coach after the game yesterday talking about how this Oklahoma team is just peaking at the right time. And they've been awesome since the regional all the way through to now the College World Series final. Are they getting overlooked again here as this big of an underdog to North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, if you have Texas or Georgia in this spot against North Carolina, they are probably a minus 200 favorite. So the fact that it's still not, the books have still not bought into this Oklahoma team for what they just did. I mean, you stop the number one, Georgia Tech had the number one offense in every single category. Georgia had number two. And look what they just did with three freshman arms. And they also scored runs too. Like, this team has been unreal. I think plus 155 to win it is worth a roll of the dice on Oklahoma. I've not seen a hotter team other than that 22 Ole Miss team.
All right, so as we look at this for this first game, I know we're talking about it from the series perspective, but for this first matchup that we're going to see between these two, what do you expect in the way that this thing is getting priced? Minus $1.80 I'm looking at for game one over at DraftKings, Oklahoma plus 140 coming back on the other way.
Yeah, you're going to have Cord Rager versus Jason DeCaro going, which are your two Friday night guys. Both of these teams got set up pretty nicely because they went 3-0. So all of their arms are going to be on normal rest. So it's basically just a typical 3-game series, best of three. So I think Oklahoma obviously has the advantage in game one, being that Rager has been so good. But again, he is a true freshman, so you've got to roll with that. I think if North Carolina takes command of it early and gets Rager out, maybe you see North Carolina take this one 2-0. But I've seen so much fight out of this Oklahoma Sooners team. I don't think that they're going to let down easily. And not to discredit North Carolina by any means, they've had the easier side of the bracket. And so they're kind of sitting back, coasting. They really never got challenged outside of West Virginia in that opening game. But the pitching staff is great for North Carolina. The bats can kind of fall in lulls a little bit. Oklahoma's just playing way too hot. I don't get the pricing. I'll be on them in game one and for the full series.
Matt, just from a strategy standpoint, how do you see these managers handle these games, especially a first one? Will they let their aces go out a little bit longer? Will they be willing to pull them? How important are these first games, or what are some of the intricacies from a strategy standpoint you might see from these guys?
Yeah, it's a little different because you don't have to face somebody else from the losers bracket and risk having to stretch out 4 or 5 starters. This is going to play more just like they've played all weekend, where it's a 3-game series. The only difference is you can't go 0-2 or you're done. So I would assume that both of these starters are going to go pretty deep. I think it's probably going to be an under game. We saw North Carolina really turn it on in the 5th, 6th, 7th inning over their games. That's really when the runs started happening. But again, they were facing West Virginia bullpen that maybe didn't throw their next guys, because West Virginia's looking at it as, okay, not only do we have to win this game, but now we've got to save guys because we've got to win 2 more after that. So now that you're done trying to plan that, you're just going out, you're trying to win game one. So you're probably going to get 5 or 6 innings out of both of these starters, and then they're going to go to their best bullpen arms because it's so critical to go 1-0 in the championship series.
What have you thought about all the parity in this sport, right? We see the top 2 seeds knocked out early, West Virginia and Troy making their first appearances in the College World Series. The teams that are facing off to win it all right now, North Carolina seeking their first ever title. Oklahoma hasn't won it since 94. How good is that in your mind for the sport?
I think it's great. I mean, you look around and you've seen Troy and West Virginia both make it to the College World Series for the first time in program history. It is just really good for the sport that you have so many different levels of talent that are getting to shine. Because like I said, Oklahoma preseason, this team was projected to finish in the bottom 4 of the SEC. And here they are. They just knocked out number 1, the regular season and SEC conference champion Georgia, and are playing in the College World Series championship final for a team that, again, was projected to finish in the bottom 4 of the SEC. So it is great to see it. Runs are real. You can see postseason magic happen. And I don't think you get that sort of thing in any other sport. I think it's too difficult to see the Cinderellas do it in March Madness or in college football playoffs, to see, a team be able to sustain that type of winning consistently. But in baseball, we still get it, and that's what makes it great.
What was your final Jello shot count?
Ooh, good question.
Me personally, I had less than a dozen.
I don't
Ryan
believe that for a second.
was with SGPN. I gave him over under 100 that he had personally ingested, and he said that was over on day 1.
Oh, my gosh.
I know those boys like to party hard.
I don't like to party at all. I'm a very, meek individual. I take it very easy, no late nights for me.
This is why Matt had to go home early because, he didn't want to get sucked in anymore. Needed to rest and recover. Matt,
yeah. Give me a good old fashioned over a Jello shot any day. We're mature adults now.
Good stuff, Matt. Thank you so much. And thanks for helping us cover all of the regionals, super regionals, College World Series. You've been great. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Matt Grissom, everybody. Also really cool. Another layer of yesterday's game specifically for Oklahoma was the Colby and Kyle brothers and their story. One of them makes it to the College World Series final. The other one is done, but it was cool. One of the brothers for Georgia hits the home run at the end of the game. And as he's rounding the bases, his brother's excited for him, gives him a little pat and hey, look, I'm going to the College World Series final, but happy for you, bro. You got your moment.
I'm glad. Sounds like a very heartwarming moment.
It was cool in general. Why are you
I
such
liked
a
the video
downer?
of the guy putting dirt in the bottle from Texas.
Well, as I told you when you sent me that video, I thought it was cool too, not having heard the background chatter.
It was good.
For anyone who missed it, there's a player from Texas who is saving some of the dirt
So he'll be back
on the field. And yeah, he'll be back. Watch the video. Listen closely. As we talk about, though, the sports calendar never slows down. And right now, remember, Just Win Bets Baby is your premier source for daily sports betting picks. They're breaking down the data so you can bet with confidence across the entire calendar. Check out that QR code on your screen for those of you that are watching on YouTube TV or the VSiN Watch app, or you can head over to justwinbetsbaby.com today. Start betting smarter with Just Win Bets Baby. The name says it all. On that note, hoping that we can keep winning as well. Going to talk through an early preview of the NFL season coming up next. JVT has a full write-up in the NFL betting guide that's set to come out next week. And you and Mitch Moss got into an interesting conversation about Defensive Rookie of the Year. So much to discuss coming up on Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on Money Moves, Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel. We're live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. And it's interesting to me how you're rubbing your hands together just now. You seem like you're in a pretty good mood. About 30 seconds ago, you were going off about spam callers. You got heated up, fired up very quickly about this.
Let's see. Okay, look, you can witness this right now. How many missed calls and or voicemails do I have?
10.
Those have occurred while we've been on the show.
Stop.
Yeah. I don't know what I signed up for, or I don't know how they got my number. And
do you block them all one by one?
It's all different numbers, so it doesn't really matter. The only recourse I have right now is to just jump out into the ether. But I would tell you that There have been a lot of things in my life that have happened that have not made me happy. This is probably number one. I am going nuts. And the stupid part is, does your phone do this now? Do you have like the AI screen, like the screening of the call?
That it tells you?
Yeah, so it's
spam?
Yes. No, it doesn't even. So it says spam, but my phone now, I don't know if it's an update or what it is, it takes the call before I do, and it asks the person what they're calling about.
No, if mine does do that, I have not noticed.
And so my phone will tell me what it's about, and then the call will come through. It drives me absolutely insane.
No,
I can't do it anymore.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Don't like that one bit. No, that has not happened to me. Are you the person that answers the calls typically?
No, but
just to talk trash? Because I could see that. That's why I asked.
I will say, and this is actually an act of kindness. I think I've said this on the air before. I've had many jobs in my life. I used to be a telemarketer / political call person. I had to get a part-time job at one point. And I know the grind. So I will actually answer political calls. Now, there's a little bit of a trick to it because apparently if you work in media, they don't poll you. So I immediately answer the question of, yes, I work in the media, and they go, thank you for your time, and they hang up. But I've been on the other side.
You're nice to them because you've been through it.
I've been in the trenches. And then that guy looked at me and said, I'll show you the ropes, kid. I've been here for 20 years. And I was like,
this is my sign. I got to get the bleep out of here.
So you're a nice guy, buddy, but I'm out of here.
However, for me, whenever I see it, I like that it tells you now telemarketer or scam likely or whatever it is. I think that's very helpful, at least.
But as we know, I was discovered in a bar. Barista.
Stop. Yeah. I'm pretty active, though, on the blocking.
Yeah.
As soon as I get one of those, the first thing I do is I go into the call log and I block the...
Shout out to Luke DeVosta. What a run that the producer Luke is on right now. Not only did he have an incredible run yesterday from a betting standpoint, he just showed me how to turn off the screening.
Nice.
Thank you, Luke. Appreciate it very much. So I'm not the only one that had that then, because that was... Yeah, that drove me nuts.
Get AI out of here. You know that I am very anti-robot, and that just add that to the list. It's one of the things. The only robot I do like is the one that kicked that small child. No, just kidding. That was actually so sad. Did you see his poor little face?
I did. Who are you talking to?
But I'm just saying, the face of the small boy. That was so sad. Okay.
And then robot OG Anunoby in the streets of New York. That was so funny. And he started cursing, yelling F Trae Young in front of a small child. And
that was pretty good.
And the guy goes, Robot OG, you got to stop. There's kids around. And the robot just goes, I'm wildin'. I was like, dude, that's so dope.
You are, however, not wildin'. You took this very seriously. The write-up that you did for the NFL Betting Guide covering the AFC East, which will come out in its entirety coming up early next week. I have a deadline that I got to reach in a couple hours, so I need to write up some of my plays. But I was curious your thought process as you attacked this division, because I know thematically you guys have been doing these burning questions for each team. Was there one team in particular you had the most questions about?
I think the good ones, because there's just more interesting topics there, right? But I think for me, it started with Buffalo as one of the more interesting ones, not only because they're the division favorite, but there are, and rightfully so, they're a team presumed to win the division, compete for a championship. Josh Allen is one of the top choices to an MVP. So there's so many different things around Buffalo that I think are going to be very much worth looking at. All right, now you got me. What?
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. My dad just texted me.
Here we go, Richie B.
Sorry to interject. I told that old Yeller story before we went to break earlier, and I guess my dad is
finally catching
listening.
Huh?
Yeah, he's listening on delay, because you know how on Sirius XM you can skip through. He said, of course, another brutal story of your father. You're literally killing me. I may have to respond one of these shows. Cannot believe you told that story. Maybe don't say that to your small child when she's impressionable.
What's the
although it did make me take
what's the spot you guys go
to? Where? Here. What do you mean? Oh, 4 kegs.
All right, Richie B, as you listen to this in the future, 4 kegs whenever you come out here. Let's go. But anyway, back to serious.
Sorry, back to the AFC.
So
Buffalo.
I had more questions about Buffalo.
I'm crying, laughing. I'm sorry, Dad.
I think there was a couple of things, but the first thing is, and I told this to Mitch on the podcast yesterday, it's amazing that we're still here with Buffalo in terms of the receivers. So in the offseason, they go and they get DJ Moore. And if you look at this team over the last few seasons, there's not been a 1,000-yard receiver in Buffalo over those last 2 years. Khalil Shakir led the team with 821 yards in 2024. He had 719 in 2025. So you have to remedy that error somehow. So what you do is you go and get DJ Moore. But the interesting part, as we had those discussions when that trade went down, is you're kind of overpaying for a guy who statistically has declined. He has failed to eclipse 1,000 yards himself in 3 of the last 4 seasons. And in 2025, he didn't even reach the century mark in a single game. So now all right, I guess you got DJ Moore for a second round pick, and maybe your wide receiver core is fixed. But then you look at the depth chart overall. All right, you've got Moore, you've got Shakir, Keon Coleman, who we know at this point. I mean, a coach got fired over him potentially, who had 400 yards last year. Outside of Keon Coleman and Josh Palmer, the rest of the depth chart for the Buffalo Bills at wide receiver caught a grand total of 18 passes in 2025. So you've got a lot of questions at the back end of this wide receiver room if you're the Buffalo Bills yet again. And if one of them goes down, then I think you again are sitting there going, man, like, all right, who's catching passes for us at this point right now? So you're going to be one of the better offenses in the NFL just for two reasons. You've got Josh Allen, and of course you've got James Cook. And I guess it's worth pointing out that you still have Joe Brady, who ran your offense the last few years, so that at least has that continuity to the offensive system. There's arguments to be made that there was some shortcomings when it came to the offense at times, especially in key moments. I would argue, and I made a point of this in the piece too, which is it's weird that you think that Sean McDermott wasn't good enough, and so you want a clean slate, but then you hire the guy who was the offensive coordinator for the last 2.5 seasons and on the staff for the last 4. But whatever, hey, like we're going to do that. And then you look at the team defensively. Last year, Buffalo finished 14th in opponent expected points added per play. So just an overall efficiency metric. Then you look at what they're doing. Jim Leonard comes in. They're going to run a 3-4 as opposed to the 4-3 under McDermott. Then you look at the pieces that are lost. Joey Bosa, A.J. Epinesa, Tre'Davious White, Taron Johnson. That's over 2,600 snaps for that defense last year that are out the door. And that was an average defense. Yeah. So now you're switching schemes, you're overturning some key spots at edge rusher and at corner, and you're wondering, for a team that finished pretty much dead in the middle defensively, what does that look like for Buffalo? I think they're overall all good enough to still win this division. The Patriots have some obvious signs of regression we can hit on, but I'll put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo wins the division, but they're more like 10-7. Only because I do think there are some obvious signs here that you're looking at a group that maybe could be a little bit more mortal than I think we expect them to be, especially coming off of a 12-win year.
Still just feel for them so much and how the season comes to an end last year in the divisional round against Denver, and then the Broncos advance, but the Bo Nix injury coming out of that game then derails their side of things, and the Patriots end up being the team that comes out of the AFC and facing off in the Super Bowl with Seattle. They're plus 122nd in the division. I know you talk about the potential for regression there. We obviously know the schedule being a key piece of that, but I want to save the Patriots a little bit for when we come back to this topic tomorrow, because something you brought up yesterday I do think is interesting. On the surface, you look at these odds and it feels like in the division, it's the haves and the have-nots, with the Bills and Patriots at the top and then the Jets and Dolphins at the bottom. Mm-hmm. You are somebody who's actually pretty pro New York Jets this year.
Well,
not in terms of the division, but exceeding the on-paper expectations for them.
So somebody told me when I was doing local radio the other day, because I mentioned that, they were like, oh, you think the Jets can reach the promised land? And my response was the promised land 6 wins? Because, that's what I think that they can potentially do here. Geno Smith is obviously going to be the big question, and people out here in Las Vegas will remember, it's the National Football League, everybody will remember how bad Geno Smith was last season. But I'm somebody that is overtly positive. I like to find the good in all the people that I see around me in my life. You know what I'm saying? That's why I get along with so many people. And if you try to find the good in Geno Smith last season, one of the things that you could argue was that he was under duress a lot. That offensive line in front of him was not good. According to Pro Football Focus, of all of the pressures that he experienced, he was responsible for just 11.5% of those. That's the 10th best rate among qualified quarterbacks last year. So in other words, he's not the one that was holding on to the ball too long. He wasn't inviting pressure. He was just getting murdered by an offensive line that was not playing particularly well. And then you looked at some of the numbers for him when he was kept clean. You had a positive touchdown to interception ratio. The turnover-worthy play rate was actually much lower than what he had for the season overall. And so that maybe there is a universe, and maybe we're in it, in which Geno Smith has a slightly better offensive line in front of him that actually keeps him somewhat upright, that Frank Reich, their new offensive coordinator, scheme sets him up a little bit better, and that he actually is a little bit closer to Seahawks Geno Smith than he was Raiders Geno Smith. And if that's the case, then there's some things that should work out for them. The defense should be better. They had a historic special teams last year. That should keep, because of course they retain their staff there. So I think there's some things to just be generally positive on when it comes to the New York Jets.
This was a great tease for all of the content that you're going to get in our NFL betting guide that, again, comes out next week. This year's guide is not available a la carte, though. You cannot just purchase it as a standalone. If you want to get access to every sheet of this thing, it is a monster of a document. You got to be a VSiN Pro subscriber. VSiN.com/subscribe.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We are in the 44th minute between Switzerland and Bosnia. Still scoreless where we sit right now. Switzerland closing anywhere between minus 175 and minus 185 favorites on the three-way line. As the World Cup rolls on, we are officially into the second week as we welcome you back here to Money Moves. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. We'll have some best bets on the pitch coming up in a moment. But to continue our American football conversation from last segment, I want to share this clip real quickly from you and Mitch Moss talking about the defensive rookie of the year market on Pod to the Futures. In terms of the defensive rookie of the year odds board at the top right now, Ruben Bain and David Bailey are your co-favorites at plus 475. Bain from Miami, now playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. David Bailey, Texas Tech alum, playing for the Jets. I feel like that's appropriate coming off of our AFC East conversation last segment. But it's another Texas Tech alum that you two are eyeing.
Last year kept getting better and better and better. He forced 3 fumbles 2 years ago, 7 last year. He was actually kind of in the mix. People brought him up for the Heisman Trophy last year.
Damn, I should have guessed it. He's also going to be on the team that's probably going to win 2 games. Come on down, Jacob Rodriguez.
That's him. It doesn't matter. The Browns were a complete stink bomb again last year.
Sure.
Right? So these awards, it doesn't matter. Typically for like a rookie award, doesn't matter if you're on a really, really bad team or not. So I don't want to hear about division winning team.
We had people make that argument against us last year with Schlesinger. Like the team stinks. Like that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Rookie linebacker.
Clearly, that's for those people. That should be a lesson learned for them.
Yes.
Right. And so I don't care if the Dolphins are 3-14 or 5-12, whatever it is. Yep. I think he is going to start from day one. If he stays healthy, he'll probably play as many snaps as you can throw out there to me because they're going to be on the field a lot. He'll put up probably really good numbers as a result. And because he's kind of a big name coming in from Texas Tech in college football last year, I think he's got a great opportunity. And so here also, like you can still find 22-1, 26-1 out there if you look. Circa's down at 12-1 on the guy already. Ooh. So anything above 20-1, I just keep adding and filing and putting it away in my account.
So you crushed it last year on the Carson Schlesinger play. You were all about him for a long time. What did you think of Mitch's argument for Jacob Rodriguez?
Left out of that clip is me going, all right, I'm in. And then I went and found him at 21 and bet it.
Okay, There we go.
That's it. I'll just blindly tail Mitch. That's what we do. We follow each other into the dark and we'll see what happens. Unreal chemistry between those two hosts. Absolutely fantastic. Check it out wherever you get your podcast. Please watch the YouTube videos as well. Absolutely tremendous.
I think, honestly, though, Pod to the Futures, what you guys are doing, especially as we gear up for the NFL and college football, for you guys to be weekly diving into so many of these different markets, I think that podcast now more than ever is extremely valuable.
I don't think, did we mention this on this show? I know we put the clip up. It's on Instagram and Twitter and whatnot, but we did go halvesies. We went splitsies, as we called it, on our Utah Jazz Charlotte Hornets finals exacta.
10,000 to 1?
10,000 to 1. Right, Luke? You get 10,000 to 1 odds on anything. You got to take it.
You take it.
We were looking through it, and I was like, ooh, it's 10,000 to 1 odds on the Jazz and the Hornets. Now, it's not just the odds. We actually think both of those teams are going to be pretty good. And so, in theory, they have a better chance than 10,000 to 1 to make it. But it was a very fun moment putting that bet in and watching and seeing how much I might have put too much on 10,000 to 1, though. That was a very stupid bet in hindsight.
And you're gonna have to. I was gonna say, and you're gonna have to stare at that in your account all season long too. So if the Jazz get off to like a bad start or something, you're just, all right.
I think what I need to do is chase that and go buy another Pokemon card up at the Lucky Box. See if I can get my money back.
So for anyone who has missed it so far, JVT has. We've talked about this on air previously. He's gone up to this Lucky Box a few times, and I was someone who definitely was pro, do it, get something. But now we're pretty negative ROI on the Lucky Box at this point.
A little bit.
You post a picture of it on your social media. What's every comment coming your way right now?
I've gotten 4 responses, all of them DMs, and actually all of them have said the exact same thing. It's just 2 words. Do it.
So in sports betting and gambling in general, we're always talking about don't chase Are you thinking that the next one could be the one?
The next one's always the one.
We got Jason.
The next one's always the one. Come on.
So bad.
Just like when I was a telemarketer. The next one, I was going to get a completed call. The next one.
Let's get into the bets. We got to recap before we look forward. For me, yesterday, we were able to get there ultimately with England on the money line against Croatia, minus 136. They end up winning it 4-2. You had a few bets, though, yesterday. I just had the one.
Yeah. Try to go against the thoughts of producer Luke. That did not get there. The English let me down again, shockingly enough. Pirates first 5, minus 140. That's why I have such a cantankerous relationship with Blowers, our guy behind the scenes here. Mariners money line minus 130. They don't get it done either. So 1 and 2 yesterday for losers, and we will see if we can bounce it back today.
Okay, for me today, I did, as I mentioned a couple times on the show already, I played Mexico on the 3-way line, plus 105, as well as both teams to score against South Korea a little bit later. These two did play a friendly back in September, finished in a 2-2 draw. I do lean over for the game as well, but went both teams to score instead as a way to get a little hypothetical safety on the money line bet as well. But we know South Korea isn't a pushover. We talked about it earlier, fighting back from down 1-0 to win 2-1 against the Czech Republic in their opener. No Cesar Montes for Mexico today, which does, again, because of what he's able to do for them defensively and from a physicality standpoint, lead me to believe South Korea is going to be able to get on the board in this spot. But I still lean Mexico. I think they're the better team. They are priced as such, and they're playing at home and going to have that additional support playing at that stadium in Guadalajara. So that's the way that I'm playing it today. Those are my only 2 bets of the day.
Yeah, just for fun, I'll put it in here too. I forgot to put it in our docs. We don't have a graphic for it, but we'll include it. I'm with you on Mexico, so let's go. Viva la raza.
Yeah, so have you decided where you're going to go watch it tonight?
Durango. We're going to go to Durango.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You did tell me that yesterday.
Yeah,
That'll be fun.
You also said that you were going to go.
Well, I thought about it, and I was initially planning to.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah, see, look at this. Yeah, okay.
So the match starts at 6. Yeah. My husband, I forgot previously, already asked me to do something that is also at 6. So it is what it is. What are you going to do? I did, however, tell you we're doing something at 6.
Nah, whatever.
However, we will tomorrow, because USA is playing Australia at noon Pacific time.
That's right.
We will be on the air during the first part of the match, and we're going to stay over, watch here. I feel like the book should be not only tonight for Mexico, but even tomorrow for the U.S. I know it's a noon start for us locally, but I feel like we should get a pretty solid turnout here at Circa.
Yeah, we probably will. And the Americans should be able to get this done. If you look at some of the advanced metrics I was looking at for Australia's first match here, not great in terms of the expected goals against defensively. So if USA is going to be able to get this done, or excuse me, if the offense, I should say, is as legit as it looked, then they should be able to get this done. Although, now this is super hardcore, and I would ask smarter soccer guys like Luke and Alex about this, but I read an interesting piece about how bad the set pieces have been for the Americans, and they barely generated, I think it was like 0.4 expected goals for through their set pieces, maybe a little bit less. So if you're not going to be able to take advantage of some of those instances like corners and more, then I do wonder how that's going to work in the long term, but maybe doesn't really play out here against Australia.
Keeping tabs on the U.S. Open as we have been all day as well. Rory McIlroy was out to a standalone 3-under leader for a time. He ends up finishing his round 1-under for the day, tied for second where things sit right now. Your leader at 2-under is Sam Stevens still, but he is done for the day as well. And we're getting to the point now in the afternoon where some of those bigger names that weren't out there on the course are now, which unfortunately also means we're getting to the point in the afternoon where the winds are picking up.
Yep. Tell you what, if the Americans win tomorrow, then maybe I'll hit the lucky bucks.
You are so easily influenced.
Hell yeah, dude, what are you talking about?
It's crazy.
Yeah, dude.
So wait, are we going to go?
That's why I'm such a good time.
What you have been doing is the Pokemon cards. Is that where you're going again? Are you going to go for the jersey?
No, I'm going with the Pokemon cards.
Pokemon cards.
Yeah. If I'm going to chase, I'm chasing properly.
The look on your face when you opened the card last time when I was with you was so defeated.
No. It was actually excitement, remember? Because I don't know how these cards work in terms of the grading and all of that stuff. But
I was going to say, let me correct myself. It was when we Googled it.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So, but the grading or however, I don't know what the terminology is for it. I apologize for our audience who knows, but it had a big fat 10 on it.
Yes, which is the best grade.
Yeah. I mean, I assume it's on a scale of 10. So I'm like, sweet, this magneton's going to be worth like $7,000. And then I looked it up and it was worth like 30. And I was like, why is this 10 on it? And it was just because it was in good condition, I guess?
Condition, yes. So, but
It's so stupid.
You still have to have a high quality card at a high grade, right? It can't just be any card
Sitting
that's a 10.
sitting on that Umbreon, that's worth like $130, so we're still at like a $30 loss on that one. But one day.
Since you started going down this road, are you now getting on Instagram and TikTok live and watching breaks?
No, I can't. Those algorithms, somebody sent me a cat video the other day, and like now my whole thing is just cat videos. It's too sensitive.
It is crazy how you say one thing or you get one video and instantly it's your whole thing. I was watching a video the other day in a separate room. So it was on my computer. I was watching it not even on my phone. My phone was in a different room and I got a video about that thing on my phone later. So is that just the cloud connecting and being after me? Again, technology. Why? That's a wrap for us today. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Stick around, though, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Follow the money with Mitch and Paul coming up after this.